lack of education, but we also have a Republican governor here who had a hand in that as well. So it goes both ways. Anyway, I want to ask her, she touts herself as a smart person, so let's test it. What is the mitigating factor that made the Democratic South turn over to the Republican Party? And I'm waiting for your answer. What made the
Democratic South turn over to the Republican Party?
What is the mitigating?
I don't know what answer you're looking for, and I wouldn't know how to answer that. But I can say, again, I only speak to my personal experiences, sir. So for people to question my intelligence as if my life is somehow invalid is very interesting to me.
So Sam, go ahead with your point.
Yes, please.
I believe you're talking about the Civil Rights Act.
The answer to the question is the Civil Rights Act.
The same Civil Rights Act that was authored by Republicans? Okay.
But can I finish, please?
Mm-hmm.
Okay. The act that gave you the right to sit in the chair that you're sitting in right now and vote. People in the city that you just moved into 10 years ago died for that cause. There are people still fighting for that same cause as we speak. In America, they were in the southern part of this state to which I live and I love. They caught people trying to fake the electors in this state in the Republican Party.
We also caught illegals with IDs and trying to vote, but I guess we won't acknowledge that.
If you will look at the history, to which I'm sure you claim to know or you do know, the history of your state, you should be aware that people have died for the cause to vote. And now the people
also died for the cause for us to read.
Hold on, Kayla. Let him finish.
May I finish, if it's okay? Your mother should have taught you a little better than to interrupt.
All right, Sam, just go ahead and finish your point.
Thank you.
Okay. But the people that have died for this cause are still fighting for the same cause. Now, it's okay if you want to be Republican or Democrat, but not these Republicans. They are of a different ilk. They're of a different structure. They are the same structure that left the Democratic Party to come to the now Republican Party. And that's my comment.
All right, Sam. Go ahead, Kayla.
All right, so let's start with the 1964 Civil Rights Act, or the Voting Rights Act, correct? That was all a ploy by Lyndon B. Johnson to get black people to support the Democratic Party for the next 200 years. And unfortunately, the tactic worked because, much like you heard our caller say, they're still fighting for the right to vote. There's not one American citizen without a felony who does not have the right to vote. All you need is an ID and you can go vote. He also didn't acknowledge the fact that while he's saying we had fake electors, we also had fake citizens going to vote in our election. So, of course, I guess we just won't talk about election integrity in that sense. Next, the ploy to get black people to vote for them for the next 200 years was a fear tactic because, again, black people then thought that if they did not vote Democrat, they would lose their right to vote. And even though Ronald Reagan came in and didn't take away black people's right to vote, for whatever reason, Democrats every election season get up and talk voter suppression, protect your right to vote. Black people died for the right to vote. Black people also died for the right to read. So I wish a lot of you would please go read the Willie Lynch letters. I wish a lot of you would go read more about Jim Crow and how, the systems were set up to basically make us believe that we were victims for the rest of our life. So now let's talk about the migrant issue and how it relates to the 1964 Voting Rights Act, correct? The Voting Rights Act was put in place so that black people would be a loyal Democratic voting base. Black people are now leaving the Democratic Party.
Wait. Kayla, you're saying that the only reason the Civil Rights Act was passed was for votes?
No. The major portion of said legislation was the fact that it gave black people the right to vote, right? And Democrats touted the fact that they gave black people the right to vote. They then used fear-mongering to make black people believe that if they did not vote Democrat, they would lose their right to vote and whatever other rights and resources that were granted to them by these Democrats, correct? Now that you see black people leaving the Democratic Party, now that you see black people calling out the Democratic Party, now that you see black people tired of living in the same conditions that they were in when the bill was signed, they no longer have that loyal voting base. So you know what they're doing now? Now they're opening the borders. They're letting these migrants in. They're giving them these welcome packages full of food stamps, housing assistance, whatever else, that housing and clothing and whatever else it is maybe that they need in order to come over here and live comfortably. Why? Because now when you have these illegal migrants coming over here, and it's clear that the Republicans are like, no, get them out. Now you have a new loyal voting base who's like, oh God, if we don't vote for the Democrats, we're not only going to lose our right to vote, but we're possibly going to lose our citizenship as well. It's never been a thing where we're going to do this for the betterment of the Black community or the Latino community. It's always been, we're going to do this so that we can stay in power, and we're going to manipulate the masses into believing that we are for them. And even though they will continue to vote for us, we will never do anything for them, but we will play on their feelings for stuff that we did 60 years ago.
Okay. And Dave,